Hey, hello, and welcome to Let's Keep It Real Media Talk Show with your host, me, Chantell Duke-Robinson. I am so happy that you were able or going to be tuning in. Appreciate you showing up tonight. I hope everybody is doing well and is looking forward to a good show tonight. How you been? If you're coming in for the first time, introduce yourself in the caption, if you would. Appreciate you. I know there's no one viewing at this second, but I do look forward to folk coming in. Forward to seeing you again. I am Chantell Duke-Robinson. And I want to read our disclaimer before we get started. Please be advised that the views and opinions of our guests and our state may not reflect ours. We are not offering counseling nor any advice that falls within the scope of our licensure governed by the state in which we reside. All advice is given under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, who governs our right to counsel. And the counsel and information are solely the views of the contributors of the show. Our feedback, opinions, and expressions are based on our personal backgrounds and belief. Amen. So as some of you know who will be tuning in, I am a Christian woman, and I wanted this talk show to be available to individuals so that others can chime in with biblical, contribute biblical advice, right? Because that's how I live my life, and that's the company. I like my little thing. That's the company of people that I keep. So I'm trying to get my camera. I'm sorry, trying to get stuff right. So that's the kind of life that I live, right? And so as a leader of my church, myself and my husband, we are pastors. Fruit of the Harvest Ministry is located in Dayton, Ohio. And due to my background and a whole lot of other stuff I've been through and experiences, I feel like I'm qualified to sit in this role, right? And to judge stuff, right? And I can do that based on my experiences. But I also like others to chime in and to give their opinions, right? And help me and support me and trying to help others to figure out, the barriers in their thinking and why they think the way they do. If you're criminal minded, or if you're just someone that feels like you're stuck, right? I wrote a book, and it's called let me get it. Hold on, let me get it. It's called, all my little stuff over here on the podium. I wrote a book, and I'm going to show it to you. Let me show it to you. Let me show you my book. So I wrote a book, and it's called Fruit of the Harvest Ministries. See? It's a course book. And it's called Fruit of the Harvest Ministries, a course on personal development and corrective thinking. And it's taught in a spiritual, in a practical way. And I'm going to be opening it up tonight because I want to dig into some, I have learned, y'all, that, just from just being around people that are dysfunctional, right? And from being a person that was dysfunctional at one point, I have learned that there are barriers in our lives that sometimes prevent us from reaching goals. And until we address them, we're going to remain stagnated. And my husband and I, we are deliverance ministries, right? We are deliverance ministry. We are deliverance ministers. And so we believe what Christians call, we believe in getting people delivered, right? And so I learned, like, they're working as a counselor, right? Everybody does not feel that they need delivered. They just feel that they're dysfunctional in their thinking and that they need to just correct that behavior, and there's your deliverance. And I can agree with that, right? Some people, we believe that some people don't have the power to be able to correct their thinking. And so they continue making poor choices, and they struggle with trying to figure out how to be better, how to get well mentally. And so tonight we're going to be talking about, what it really means to get delivered from distortions, right, in your thinking. And so I'm just going to chop it up with you a little bit. This is not a counseling session. Again, it's just Chantell. I'm kicking some knowledge with you today, and trying to unravel some things that you may have been going through. And you can call me, Judge Kick Real, because I tend to do that, right? I don't follow rules for the most part when it comes to just having conversation with my friends and things like that. So we're gonna keep it real tonight. I'm gonna open this up. Let's talk about relationships a little bit, right? And how relationships have interfered with your mental health. I have learned that unless you have the cognitive ability to be able to work through some of the mess that we involve ourselves with, we will stay stuck and keep making the same mistakes. Now, I speak from a place of experience when I say that, and I speak from a place of a professional, right, in the field, in understanding the way we think and how the distortions in our thinking, right, can cause us not to be able to reason, too well. So I guess I want to share something with you. Let me see if I can pull it up. Forgive me. I have to pull it up on my phone. I have an Apple phone, and I like it. I'm learning to like this model. Is the 13, and because it's a lot easier to use, but there is still some things that piss me off about it, if that's okay to say. Christians, hold your ear, don't get mad. She said pisses her off. Yeah. So, but yeah, about this Apple phone. But nevertheless, I want to read some stuff to you, and then we're going to get a little deep. Okay, so what I pulled up for you to read to you, it says there are 5 primary cognitive skills, right? And they list them as reading, learning, remembering, logical reasoning, and paying attention, right? I wanted us to think about it. If you don't have these skills working for you, if you're not able to utilize these primary cognitive skills, you might be in trouble, right? All of them are just like, wow. Because listen, if you enter into a relationship, right? And I mean not into the relationship just be hooked up, just to be in a relationship, but you have, that's somebody that has got it, get it all together. Let me reframe that. If you enter into a relationship with somebody, right? A lot of times, from a woman's standpoint, we're not looking to just go in and just, and allow this person to make love to our intellect, right? Or to help us sort through all of the distortion in our thinking. And, we're not looking for people to help us unravel all of that mess in order that we can think clearly. We go into the relationship looking like, ooh, looking forward to the intimacy, right? The courtship of it, the dating, and just looking at someone and saying how much telling them that you love them and you want to be in love and you want to be swept off your feet, right? So that's how we kind of enter into these relationships. And so we forget about the fact that there may be some things that we're lacking, and because we may miss some very, very, very important information that we need, right, in order to determine if this is going to be a healthy relationship or not, right? We tend to just go head first, or heart first, and sometimes whatever else first, right? Before we actually gather information to see if this person is really going to be able to help us get through some distortions that we've been dealing with, honey, for years. And a lot of it is just baggage that we've, dragged along, that's it, right? Dragged along with us from past relationships, right? We don't think about, mentally how this is going to affect me after the honeymoon stage, right? We don't think about it. Why my face looks so dry. So I was just thinking about y'all, and I was just thinking about my sisters, and I was thinking about me, and I was thinking about things maybe I shouldn't be thinking about. And I'm thinking, wow, why don't we get it, right? Why don't we get it when it comes to entering into unhealthy relationships? Why is it all about how fine he is, or how much money he makes, or why is it, just all about him paying attention and telling you how beautiful you are and how much you need a ride or die? Why is it all about that all the time? It's time to get healed, right? It's time to be able to recognize if you are working with what you need in order to make the right decisions pertaining to relationships. So let's get into this again. Let me open this back up. Let me get in here. So let's talk about the inability, right, to learning and remembering. After you have been in a bad relationship, if you ignore the signs, right, of when someone is not true to you, or if someone is not faithful, or if someone's just not for you based on the way they treat you, if you ignore the fact that you learned that in the first relationship, and if you tend to always forget that the same thing that is happening in your current relationship has happened in your last relationships, if you don't realize that the same things continue to happen to you in these relationships, that means there might be an issue with you remembering stuff, right? And if you have a problem learning within the relationship, if you have a problem learning, then that's going to be an issue for you, or it is an issue for those who has forgotten, right, how they were treated in previous relationships. We're talking about mental health today. We're talking about your cognitive reasoning, right, or abilities. We're talking about what it means to actually have cognitive skills, like what it means to be able to function normally, right? And I'm saying a lot of people, you know, and even I had to throw myself in there. Sometimes we forget, or we just don't want to remember, because we still have that hope that entering into another relationship is going to be different than it was in the previous relationship, right? So we enter into the relationship and we do it, and some people just keep doing it, keep just hooking up with the same old type of men, or the same old type of women, or they're hooking up with the same old friends, the same old friends that don't mean them no good. They just want to be friends with somebody or connected with somebody, and so, you know, they just keep entering into. And so today I'm thinking, I'm saying, let's examine. I'm a little hot. Let's examine. Whew. Let's examine, and this can come down a little bit, our cognitive abilities. Let's examine them, right? And so I read like 5 of them. I read 5, and they read, you have to be able to read. So no. There are 5 primary cognitive skills: reading, learning, remembering, logical reasoning, we haven't gotten there yet, and paying attention. Each of these can be utilized in a way that helps us become better at learning new skills and developing ourselves, right? Come on. Y'all have to get this. Ladies, if you tune in, I'm praying that somebody's going to tune in to this show tonight and say, man, that was right on point. I needed to hear that. We need to learn how to work on ourselves. We need to really examine ourselves and see if we have, right, cognitive skills, if we have the ability to maneuver, right, through the primary cognitive skills, in order that we have, learn how to, what I want to say, how to select the right people that we want to be involved in, right? We can use these skills in order to determine if someone that we connect to will be able to help us, you know what I mean, will benefit us, right? As far as our intellect, you know what I mean, as far as, you know, our mindsets, and what, you know, if I forget that this last relationship was jacked up, and, you know, I was, you know, the person was unfaithful and all of this stuff. If I forget that, if I don't know how to use, you know, my memory, then, you know, when I enter into the next relationship, and it's going to be a shock when someone do that, and then I'm going to feel hurt and broken again because I allowed this same situation to happen. I didn't think about it, right? Because you have to have the ability to think. If I didn't think that, you know, it was going to be this way, and to the point where, you know, when your memory serves you well and say, remember the last one, we still continue in the relationships anyway, regardless to, our minds telling us, listen, this is a primary cognitive skill you should have at the level of maturity that you are intelligent, you're smart, you're a smart person. And why are you allowing this to happen? Right. So we don't take advantage of that skill that we all have, to be able to say, I don't know if we all have it, but to be able to say, okay, based on what I recall in the last relationship that ended because of this type of behavior, I don't want to be in this unhealthy relationship with anyone at this point, because that was very traumatic what I went through, or very hurtful. My heart was broken. I was used up. I was mistreated, disrespected, talked to all kind of ways. Instead of us using, right, that cognitive skill that we should have at a certain, maturity level, we just ignore the signs and we stay in these unhealthy relationships. And some people experience verbal abuse, mental abuse. It's mental abuse because you can't even think. You can get so caught up in being with that person, you're not even really back to not remembering, like, this is not healthy. We tend to cover up the very things that we need in order that we set ourselves free, right? That we get free. So what we do, church folk do. They go and praying to God and crying and fasting and asking everybody in the church to pray for them because, they feel like, they're being taken advantage of and all this stuff. When a lot of times you identify the situation, but you just wasn't able because you was led into the relationship on the wrong precincts. Did I say that right? Ended up involved with someone, right? Because you're with other parts of your body, and you didn't get through with your mind, so you just end up in this situation, and it just keeps happening. We need to learn that learning is a primary cognitive skill. If you're not able because of cognitive disabilities, if you're not able to learn, that's understandable, because if you have a disability and you're thinking, it's because something physically is wrong with you, and it doesn't allow for you to be able to respond in a way that would be normal for other people. And that's understood. Like somebody that has cerebral palsies or something, they have different, mental disabilities and stuff like that. They just can't, learn. But for those that are capable of learning and know right from wrong, if you don't utilize that skill and you continue to run into negative situations, right, and you're not learning from your experiences, then you can find yourself stuck in a situation, right? You can find yourself in your head more than you need to be in order to find peace, right? In my book, right, I outline, and I'm not on here to sell my book, but if you want this, you can get it on Amazon. It's a course book. It has skill cards. You can learn how to role play different things in order to get over certain barriers I talk about in here. It has quizzes. It has like crossword puzzles, journal pages. It's $20. You can't beat it. It is breaking down like different barriers in our thinking, right? And again, I'm not trying to sell this, but it's a good tool to have that you can use yourself. You can use this as a workbook, right? And I promise you, because it's anointed, I promise you, by the time you're done with this course, right, you're going to be in a place where you're going to know how to combat some of those things in your thinking that has kept you stuck. Remember, I said 5 of the primary cognitive skills is for you to be able to learn. It's learning. So you need to go get materials, read certain materials and stuff, or talk to certain people so that you can learn, right, what you're doing wrong or what you need to do. to get up out of some of these relationships, because I'm telling you, you've been in it too long, or you know somebody that have. Look, I just want to share this one right here. Listen, this first chapter is talking about hate and anger. Like I said, you got the journal pages and all that good stuff, good introductions and all of that stuff, journal pages. This one right here, like, let me see. Hold on. This is one of the things, one of the barriers, one of the areas in our lives where we get stuck, right? When we get stuck, instead of us saying, okay, I remember, right? That's one of the primary cognitive skills. I remember what it was like in that previous relationship. And instead of learning from that experience and correcting, what you have done or have allowed to happen, instead of doing that, sometimes we just be stuck in a relationship and we get to that woe is me, nobody cares type attitude. Like, oh, woe is me, I'm in here, I loved him or I loved her and I gave everything to whoever. And I just, I don't know what to do. Some people are ready to die, Listen to this. Feeling like a victim comes easy for those who feel victimized. Sometimes we can easily do that. We can get in that state because we feel like someone is not receiving us, right? It has been my experience, then I wrote the book. It has been my experience that feeling like a victim can look like self-pity. From me and my husband's perspective, sometimes individuals can feel like victims when they have no hope in a situation. If you have been labeled the black sheep, for instance, in your family, you can adapt to rejection easily and totally ignore the pain, ignore the fact that you've been treated like this your whole life because you're the black sheep, right? You've been treated, so you ignored in relationships. We have learned as Christians leaders, according to scripture, some people can feel like, thou didst say, woe is me now. For the Lord hath added grief to my sorrow. I fainted in my sighting and I find no rest, right? And you can find that in Jeremiah 45:3. When things doesn't go their way, that's a lot of times how they feel. Feeling like woe is me or like no one cares can stem from being rejected, right? Physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? That can happen. So that's just a little excerpt from the book, right? It goes into, it has so many different barriers that prevent people from getting up and getting out of really bad situations, right? And so if you get it on Amazon, I'm telling you, it's going to be a blessing. After you read all of this, it says, in order to get past feeling stuck, we must understand what it was that got us stuck in the first place. Remember, one of the primary cognitive skills is to remember. You have to be able to remember. You have to be able to, and all of this is about developing yourself. Remember, I just read it to you. So for some people, taking a look into their past can be terrifying, right? Remember. As a Christian, we are expected to put our past behind and to focus on what is to come. Remember these things when you journal. So that will be the next step in the book. Be encouraged and happy journaling. It was written in the scripture, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. I press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. This is a time to rid yourself of the emotions that has kept you stagnated, right? There are at least 5 ways you can get past the woe is me and no one cares mentally, according to psychology today. And they are: take ownership and responsibility for your own needs and wants, right? right? Remember that previous relationship. You should have learned that then. If nobody cared about you, or if that person didn't care enough to work through whatever you had to work through, and to the point where you end up having to leave it, or whatever happened, you have to leave, take responsibility for your own needs and wants. Because if you wait for someone that's trying to hang on to you for whatever reasons they're trying to hang on to you, if you wait for them to consider what you need and what you want, honey, they will keep you right there in that miserable relationship for their own personal needs, right? Practice saying no is another thing you can do, right? No. I remembered what happened. I learned from my mistake, and I'm not revisiting this stuff again. No, no, I'm not going to continue to go through this mess. No, I don't deserve this. Rather, I believe in waiting on God and all this as a Christian, waiting on God. You hear the saints tell you all the time, just wait on God, honey. Just keep on praying. Keep on praying, waiting on God for what? Go ahead and do what you have to do to leave. If you're in a position, right, where you can just leave and get out of a situation that you put yourself in because you forgot what got you there in the first place, because you couldn't remember, that this is all about you. If you've got, listen, you got to practice saying no. You have to stop blaming, right? He said he was going to marry me. I'm sticking in there. He said that, he loved me and all that. This is his fault because I could have kept doing what I was doing. I done quit my job and, yeah, I can't get nothing. I'm going to stay right here. Miserable, right? Miserable. I ain't going nowhere because he going to change. Miserable is what you're going to find yourself in if you continue to stay in a relationship and don't make other choices, right? Come on. And then the other one is become aware of the root of your sense of powerlessness, right? In your journaling, right? Be kind to yourself because you deserve it. What will prevent you from feeling stuck? So I'm gonna ask you that day, and I'm gonna close the book because I didn't really get on here to teach out to the book, but they got its journal pages in there, so you don't have to get no extra paper and all that. You can journal for a couple pages, then you take a quiz, and then a little you do some application, and then you do a quiz, and then you go to the next lesson. And there's so many in here, you guys. I'm telling you, it gets real. It gets real. The book gets real. And it helps you work through some stuff. Some is like control, impatient, being anxious. What is another one? Hate, anger, insecurity, and being fearful, stereotyping, being arrogant, closed mind. What else? Being disruptive and unruly. Being feckless. The other ones, being spontaneous. Then there's a quiz for each one of them, like I said, and then there's a final quiz. And again, the skill cards are in the back of the book. So you can get, there's like cutout skill cards in here, or you can leave them in there, but you can actually role play with your family, friends, and different people, and learn and actually develop skills. You're going to actually develop skills, honey. You need those skills. You need to start working on those cognitive skills that you don't have, because if you don't, you're going to continue to find yourself in situations where you're going to keep repeating the same old people, drawing the same old people. And so, world today, that you have to protect yourself. People are going to be taken advantage of for all kind of reasons. So I wanted to talk to you about that. And I'm so glad that we were able to look at this. So if you are struggling with not knowing how to read, listen, learning, right? Remembering and logical reasoning, logical reason, easy one, logical reason. That's easy. You listen, if you can reason, right, with your, listen, I'm not talking about nobody else. I'm talking about with you, honey. You have to tell, listen, when your mind go all over the place and it's all scrambled trying to have you thinking about this, that, and the other, you need to be able to focus. Hey, honey. Oh, I love my mama. No explanation more? No, I love my mama. I love my mama, Pastor Chris. Bye. I love my mama. I love my mama. I love my mama. Yep, the first one. Pastor Chris always do that when I'm on the show. Nevertheless, so I'm saying, okay, let me read it for those that just popped on. There are 5 primary cognitive skills: reading, learning, remembering, logical reasoning, and paying attention. If you are lacking any of that, any of those skills, you're going to have a problem. There's going to be problems that's going to arise somewhere in your life, and it can cause you, right? Like we were saying, it can cause you to be stuck, right? It can cause you to be stuck in accomplishing goals that you want to accomplish, right? It can keep you stuck in unhealthy relationships, right? Because if you can't reason with yourself, if you can't think, to the point where you're learning from your experience, your previous experience, or if you lack the ability to be able to remember stuff, then things can continue to happen to you because you don't know how to prevent them. And then you'll be that type of person that always say, I don't know what to do. I don't know. And if you're in an unhealthy relationship with a guy, or you're a man and you're in an unhealthy relationship with a woman, the first thing, I don't know, I just love her. I just love him. I can't leave. I don't, if you can't take the time and spend some time with you and start, thinking, actually examining the thoughts that's popping up in your head. And if you can't recognize the signs that your mind will give you to let you know something is not right. If you don't know how to respond to those thoughts because you can't remember, or you're not able to learn, or you refuse to learn, or substance abuse is an issue and you just flooded in your thinking, you're going to find yourself, stuck and continue to be in those relationships. Order in your thinking. Order in your thinking. You have to get to a point where you're going to spend some time with you. How many of y'all had to do that? I had to do that. I had to spend some time with Chantell, honey. And I had to tell Chantell, like, listen, you deserve better. Remember all of those relationships you've been through? I had to finally get to a place where I said, no, I'm not going to continue to let these things happen to me. I had to get to a time where I could remember what had happened to me in these relationships. I had to get to the point where I remember, right? And I start thinking. And I had to start thinking logically. Like, this ain't that complicated to decide if I'm in a good place or not. I have the ability. I have the 5 primary, right, cognitive skills I need to reason. It says, and it says, each of these can be utilized in a way that helps us become better at learning new skills and developing ourselves. Yeah, yeah. If reading is an issue, go take a class. Find a class. People will love to teach you how to read. It's not hard to learn. You got to want to learn how to read, right? You're missing out on a primary cognitive skill by not taking the time out to learn to read. But if that's how you want to live the rest of your life, that's your choice, right? The other one is learning, learning, learning. If you want to develop yourself, you need to start learning stuff, right? Go get the book, or listen, YouTube is full. It has, listen, full of information, whatever you want to learn to help you get better. All you have to do, thank God for Google. I love Google. Has to be had. Listen, I love it because you can Google anything. You can Google anything that you want to learn in order to better yourself. Learn all kind of stuff on YouTube, and it's free. You can go to YouTube. Go on YouTube. Type in a topic. Um, nah, you just have to be careful for the stuff that you find on there. But whatever you need to, wherever you need to develop, right, to help develop you, the best you, to strengthen you, to motivate you, to elevate you, you can go right to you. A lot of people don't like to go to church. They rather just watch church on social media. They call it bedside Baptist. If you don't want to go to church, you don't know what the experience is going to be like because you've never been there before, go on YouTube and say church service, or if you Christian church service, Baptist, if you want to be in, particular, non-denominational. If you don't want to get into all the denominations, the different, Baptist, Pentecostal, blah, blah, just say non-denominational. Type in followers of Jesus Christ to see what that's about. You want to change the way you think and the decisions you make and the choices you've been making? You need to, if you have the 5 primary cognitive skills, you can do it, but you got to utilize them. So let me see what else I got for y'all. Let me see what else. Come on. God, let me see. What else I pulled out? Okay, so here's something. What are the signs of cognitive disorders? Remember, I talked earlier, like you can have a disability, but this is talking about disorders, right? Like confusion, poor motor coordination, loss of short term or long term memory, identity confusion. This is the one that stuck out the most to me: impaired judgment. That can be so subtle sometimes. Sometimes we can have that and don't even realize it. You don't have to have like a cognitive disability to show that you have impaired judgment. Because if you're the type of person that just keep choosing the wrong people, just keep, to me, that's a sense of impaired judgment. You don't know how to, judge a person's character or judge, judge a person's character to see if that's the right person for you, or you can be so stuck or so in love that you just simply don't care to know um, the character of the person, just as long as they keep providing for you, however that looks, right? You don't really care. And sometimes it can be because you have a cognitive disorder, a subtle. I think this is more for along the lines for people that really have the disabilities more so, like someone that's mentally challenged. They may not have, they don't have the ability to judge, um, because they're impaired mentally, so they don't know, how to rightfully judge in certain situations. If they're confused because they suffer from a brain injury, and they're not able to use the rational thinking, logical thinking process, right? Is effective because one of their five primary skills, are impaired. They can't remember, they can't think it through, because they're really going through it. Like people that's really, mentally challenged, or, because of some kind of disease or something, they can't function well, mentally. But it's understood. But I wanted to just, I saw that impaired judgment, and I thought, man, that applies, because sometimes that can be subtle, and people, they just can't do that. And let me see what else I got. I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. So yeah, so I'm glad that I was able to chop it up with y'all today, concerning um, what you're thinking. What's going on, what's on your mind. Concerning, um, you know, your relationships. I wanted you to be in a position where you can really think about it. Really think about it. You know, think about why you're in that relationship. Think about what it's going to take for you to get out. Do you have to remember? Don't be so chaotic in your thinking when you find yourself in that situation. Don't get so chaotic and get yourself worked up because you don't have the answers right away. Just sometimes you just got to, just rely on, your cognitive skills, the five primary cognitive skills, which is what? Reading, learning, listening, um, logical thinking, and what was the last one? It's one more. And remembering, I think I said, I don't know if I said remembering, but remembering. When you rely on your cognitive ability to be able to sort through stuff that you're experiencing, there could be a good outcome. You can become unstuck, right? So remember how you got to where you are. If you're coming out of a bad relationship and you're in a new relationship and you're seeing a pattern of things you went through before, use your cognitive skills to remember, like, man, I am smart enough. I don't have a disorder. I don't have a disability in my cognitive reasoning. I understand that this is not healthy. This is not right. I need to be able to figure out, what did I learn from that? You have to ask yourself, what did you learn from the last relationship? That's using your cognitive skills. What do you remember? Do you remember the abuse, the verbal abuse? Do you remember that you weren't happy before? Do you remember, right? Do you remember? That's another one of the skills. You have to think logically. You can't let all of this stuff, bombard your thinking, and now you overthinking and you're adding other stuff. No, bring it in. It is what it is, right? You learned what you learned. You're thinking what you're thinking. Now do what you have to do. Make a decision, right? Because having those 5 primary cognitive skills, it will help. What did we just read? It will help develop you. Develop you. So if you've been in that, woe it's me, nobody cares, if you've been stuck in your situation and you've been waiting on somebody to come and save you, and no, you got to rely on what you know. You can't be blaming nobody. You can't expect nobody else to get you out of. Don't keep calling people, or and telling people, what your situation is. Do something about it. Figure out what you have to do. Put a plan together. If you need to disconnect from old people, places, and things, then disconnect from old people, places, and things. Think about it. Think about, why are you in it? Remember what you've seen on the news. Remember what you've seen in the streets. Remember what happened to family and friends when they were, say, indulging in substances and illegal substances and things that happen. Remember that stuff. Think about the consequences of it. What have you learned? What did you learn from what you saw on the news? What did you learn from being with that person before? What did you learn by being in those type of relationships? Ask yourself those questions. Those are the cognitive skills that you have. You have the ability to do. You do it all the time. Right? You have to be able to learn from your experiences. Right? Remember what you've been through, baby. Think about it. Think. Right? Think logically. Don't allow the chaos to bombard your mind and your thinking. Focus. Because right now people are struggling and people can become clingy because the world is in a state of depression. And only the strong is going to survive. So you're going to have to set some boundaries, right? Set some boundaries in your life as far as the type of people you want to bring near, that you want to keep in your inner circle, people that you want to keep close. Set some boundaries. How close you going to let them get? Are you going to use your cognitive skills to determine if the character of that person is somebody that you even want to be a part in your life before you get all caught up and sticky and gooey with them? What did that mean? Get all sweaty. Is that really what you want to? If that's all you want to do, there's dangers in that. And if you're Christian, you better be married while you're getting sticky and gooey with people. So listen, I brought to you. I gave some work tonight. And I want to see eventually, what you're gonna do with it. Are you gonna use the 5 cognitive abilities? Why? What's up with this phone? Okay, my face is right here. Are you gonna use it? Let me see. I'm trying to get to him. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm used to using an Apple phone. I'm an Android girl. I hate it. But I like this one better than the one I tried years ago. My granddaughter just so happy to see me making a switch. Let me see. I'm trying to find. Okay, let me just type in it. I want to read. I'm gonna go over and I'm about to get off of here because. Okay, here we go. So here we go. So let me give them to you. Oh, look. I want to read something. I missed this one. Cognitive ability is defined as a general mental capability involving reasoning, problem solving, planning, abstract thinking, complex idea comprehension, and learning from experience. There you go. There you go. Cognitive ability, I'm going to say it again, is defined as a general mental capability involving reasoning. You got to be able to do this stuff. Problem solving, planning, abstract thinking, complex ideal comprehension, and learning from experience. Oh my God, we just talked about that. Oh my. There it is. Well, thank you, Lord, for showing me that, because I was looking for something else, but I remember I screenshot some stuff because I wanted y'all to get it. I think I can remember them though. So the primary cognitive skills though are reading, learning, remembering, thinking, and logical, I think it was logical thinking as well. In order for you to take a look and examine that relationship that you find yourself in, right? You're going to have to learn to use your cognitive skills, baby. It don't take much. It's everything that's in you that's letting you know something is not right. That's what they are. Something is not right. And so you have to make a decision if you're going to write it out or not. You have to make the decision. I'm hoping that you learned something tonight on Let's Keep It Real Media Talk Show with your host, Chantell Duke-Robinson. Listen, I love you. And God, and my God, the one that loves you as much, wanted me to share some of this stuff with you because it's good stuff. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. It's stuff that people is not going to tell you on the streets, or they're going to tell you in a way that you're not going to receive it. But listen, this stuff is working. It's time for you to work through the barriers, baby. It's work through those things. Listen, recognize and realize what is really happening to you, right? Call those things out. Set standards. Set boundaries, girlfriend or brother. Set some, listen, and decide that you are going to develop personally, right? By correcting your thinking and your actions so that you can feel better, so you can have more joy, peace, and happiness, right? Because you have decided that no one and no thoughts are going to put you in a situation where you are uncomfortable anymore. Sometimes, as women, I used to tell my daughter, sometimes we get involved in relationships and we never should have been in them. We never should have turned them into intimate relationships. They weren't for you to do that. It was just maybe for you to be a friend to that person, but we get caught up and we end up, in these relationships, and then it costs us in some way. And we try to get out and we try to run. But then we got to work on ourselves to be able to get healed, delivered, as we talked about earlier, and set free. And in the meantime, all your friends and family, mamas, and everybody else got to suffer because you do not remember or haven't thought about or learned from experience that if you continue not examining someone's character before you enter the relationship, it can cost you. We love you. God bless you. And thank you for joining us tonight.